Did you know that food has the potential to both damage and heal your arteries? Well, world renowned diabetes reversal expert Dr. Michael Dansinger is here to talk a little bit more about that. Which foods should you eat? Which foods shouldn't you eat? I'm sure you've heard it before, but I guarantee you probably not quite in this context. Dr. Danziger, thank you so much for joining us. This is an incredible series that we are working on for our Food for Thought book and bringing it to life. Right now, we are on the next chapter, How Food Damages and Heals Arteries. Any opening thoughts before we get into your slide deck?
It's a great topic, Kim. Food can make all the difference between health and disease. Let's get into it.
Okay. "13 food components that shape your artery health."
Yes, how food damages and heals arteries. So, food is broken down into nutrients. The food you eat has a huge effect on your artery health for better or for worse. Digestion breaks food down into component nutrients that affect your arteries directly or indirectly. And understanding each nutrient helps you understand the health effects of any food or eating strategy. And there's no single best eating strategy for everybody. The right one depends on your specific health issues.
I love that you say that. And just, it's a great moment to bring to everyone's attention the famous study that you put together that where you determined, based on extensive research, there is no one single best eating strategy except for the one that you're willing to stick with.
Absolutely. We've seen that over and over again in published research studies. There is no one best for everybody. So let's talk about 13 food components that affect your arteries. And in the next 10 or 15 minutes or so, we'll cover all of these: calories, protein, carbohydrates, fiber, antioxidants, vitamins and minerals, sodium and potassium, saturated fats, trans fats, unsaturated fats, omega-3 fats, cholesterol, and preservatives and chemicals.
Fats, fats, and more fats. Starting with
So,
calories.
so calories measure how much food or how much energy is in food and directly affects your body weight. So eating too many calories leads to excess body fat, one of the causes of artery damage. And calories in food come from three sources: proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. So starting with protein, there's animal protein, of course. That's where most of our protein comes from. Red meat, poultry, seafood, eggs, dairy, for example, but also from plants like beans, soy, tofu, nuts, and whole grains. Proteins carrying a lot of saturated fat are the least favorable for artery health. So most people get between 12% and 35% of calories from protein, but in kidney disease or gout may call for less. So choose plant proteins and lean proteins whenever possible rather than fatty red meat.
Yeah, and I even discovered that quinoa and sorghum are great sources of protein as well. I was making a beet risotto, and you always say to limit the rice. Rice can be high glycemic, right? And so I was looking for alternatives. And when I looked up quinoa and I looked up sorghum, it stated that those would be great alternatives to regular rice. And in fact, they would add a little extra protein to the dish as well. So
Yeah,
protein, so
those are good
important.
examples of whole grains that do have more protein than others. So carbohydrates, most of us know that these are sugars, starches, and fibers that come mostly from plants. And healthy carbs are vegetables and legumes, fruits, grains in their natural state. And unhealthy carbs are the manufactured foods with added sugar or refined starch that spike blood sugar fast. So naturally, you want to choose carbohydrates that are closest to their natural whole food state.
It's interesting that we had an endocrinologist on, and he said even one sugar molecule can wreak havoc on your artery walls, that it's like nails on your artery walls. It actually damages the arteries. And I think that's really important to reiterate why this is so important.
So fiber is found in vegetables, legumes, fruits, grains. More fiber is better. And the healthiest carb foods have more than 1 gram of fiber per 10 grams of total carbohydrate. Fiber lowers cholesterol absorption and feeds your healthy gut bacteria. So it's good to check the labels. And I like to look at the to see how much fiber is in there and compare it to the total carbohydrates. I wish that they would provide that ratio. So 10 to 1 is the borderline, 7 to 1 is even better.
And one of the things that's so important about fiber is fiber can help you lower cholesterol. You taught me something I think very important, which made a difference in my dad's health, which was he didn't have a liver production problem when it came to his cholesterol. His liver was not overproducing cholesterol. It was a cholesterol reabsorption problem. And he ended up, his dietitian put him on higher fiber, psyllium husk, and plant sterols. And that's a combination that even Mayo Clinic did a recent study on a particular product. I think it's called Step One Foods or One Step Foods, put together by a cardiologist. And the two main ingredients they say really was effective in lowering cholesterol. It was the psyllium husk and it was the plant sterols. It was really about a high fiber diet that was helping to improve the cholesterol levels.
Yes, absolutely. Fiber is good, but too much starch is bad, and a lot of foods have a mixture of those two together, and that's where things get a little bit tricky.
Antioxidants.
Yes, let's switch gears and talk about antioxidants. So these are compounds that help protect arteries from damage, and they give the beautiful color to many vegetables and fruits. And so we want to try to eat like the rainbow. And so if your plate has, red, orange, yellow, green, or purple, that's a good thing. I like a mix. There's really no blue foods, but eat the rainbow. And as a goal, see if you can get 3 different colors of fruits and vegetables on your plate.
Something that I found that was interesting lately, number one, with antioxidants, cacao, really high in antioxidants. Absolutely love that. I actually make my chocolate peanut butter cups with cacao. But number two is you say blue, and so that triggered something that I discovered this weekend. I did a little research on spirulina, and
Yes.
spirulina is really powerful. Well, I found out because I was seeing all these influencers use spirulina that was blue. And I looked at mine, I'm like, well, wait a minute, mine's green. Did I get the wrong one? No, the green is the one you want. I guess that's the one that's in its more natural state.
I'm no expert in spirulina, but I do know that, spirulina, which is a special type of algae, it comes in different shades of blue, turquoise, green, and I think it's all good. And you can buy it as a powder and use it in small amounts. And it does give a vivid color. And so maybe the green is better than the blue, but if you're looking for something that's a turquoise color, that's one of the few ways that you could add that to your diet.
Yeah, they said the blue wasn't bad. They just said that the green was the best, and I
Good to know.
just want the best. Vitamins and minerals.
So a rainbow of fruits and vegetables, plus legumes, nuts, whole grains, and fish, supplies what your cell needs. Supplements can help fill the gaps, but healthy food sources are best. So your cell needs these nutrients to function properly every day. A lot of people do take vitamin and mineral supplements, and the
Mhm.
best way to do that is in consultation with your healthcare provider and think about how it fits in with your healthy eating strategy. The main point is you can't just get all the nutrients and vitamins and minerals your body needs from just supplements. It doesn't make up for the lack of a healthy eating strategy. And so that's where you want to get most of your vitamins and minerals.
I love how you say that build meals around whole foods first, supplements second. Good way to reiterate that.
I would say healthy food is about 10 times more potent than any vitamin or
Yeah.
nutritional supplement you can have. Let's
Sodium
talk
and
about
potassium. Yeah.
yeah. So sodium and potassium are electrolytes that help maintain fluid and blood volume. You can think of them as competing with one another in the body. And as dietary sodium goes up, potassium tends to go down. And that's bad for blood
Mhm.
pressure and artery health. So in general, high excess sodium is bad for blood pressure. You want is plenty of potassium, which comes from healthy foods. So you can anyone who can swap a salty processed snack for a healthy, fruit or vegetable loaded with potassium is probably making a good move.
And something that you can try that has worked for me because I love salt is I actually make my own mix in a shaker of onion and garlic and a little bit of cayenne pepper. And I tell you, I don't need salt. It's the perfect, most satisfying mixture. And it seems to have this savoriness to it that replaces the sodium for me. And some people talk about getting Mrs. Dash, but I like making my own and to my own flavor. And so each person is different. So it might be an option for people.
Yeah, great insights, Kim.
Saturated fats, your favorite topic that you tipped us off in the beginning as to where we were going to go with that conversation. And I know for people that we haven't been doing things in order of what damages and what heals, but we wanted to keep everyone's attention. And if we just started with all the things that were going to damage your artery, I think everyone would have tuned out a lot sooner. So we're kind of mixing and matching here.
Yeah, so let's talk about saturated fats because it's not exactly straightforward and simple, but the general idea is saturated fats are found mostly in red meat, poultry, eggs, cheese, butter, ice cream, high-fat dairy products. It's also in some vegan foods like chocolate. It's in coconut and
Mhm.
palm oil. And there's no doubt the science is very clear that saturated fat raises the LDL bad cholesterol, and it does so by slowing the removal of these bad LDL particles from the bloodstream. And everyone knows that cheeseburgers raise your cholesterol, but not everyone knows that the reason it does that is because it works on the cell membrane to slow the removal of these dangerous LDL particles.
And I think it's so important. Thank you for taking the time to explain that. I had a conversation with a woman on the phone yesterday who's still smoking. And I said, well, I hope you don't mind. Can I go into just the mechanism of action as to why it's doing damage, how it's doing damage, and what it does post procedure? And she said, thank you for taking the time to do this. If someone would have explained that to me how many years ago? Actually, I think I would have quit long ago. And I think I've now had my last cigarette. And I messaged her today and she hasn't had one since. So I think that type of explanation, Dr. Danziger, I think it's really powerful. So thank you for taking the time. And you were explaining it in a way that I had never heard before either. And it's very powerful.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. Very important insights.
Trans
So,
fats.
trans fat, these are factory made fats that were once common, especially in shortening and stick margarine, which were used in a lot of processed foods, especially 20, 30 years ago. And trans fats were a major cause of artery and heart damage. But the good news is these have been phased out. And they're still hiding sometimes in frosting or old style margarines, but for the most part, the trans fats have been, 99% removed from the
Mm.
food supply. Most Americans used to eat them every week, if not every day, mixed into, hidden in the foods. And it was a big problem because these trans fats stiffen the arteries, raise LDL bad cholesterol, lower HDL good cholesterol. They were a big driver of heart disease in the in people who um, were getting heart disease 20 years ago. And so you can still check the label to see if, in fact, there's zero trans fat. And the good news is that's almost always the case.
Unsaturated. So everyone always says, I don't know the difference between saturated fats, trans fats, and unsaturated fats. Here we go.
Yes. Well, the good news is your body knows the difference. So these unsaturated fats are healthier fats. They do not harden the arteries. The best place to get unsaturated fats is in healthy whole foods. Fish, nuts, seeds, avocado, and olives are terrific sources. So these fats, all fats are high in calories, though, so you do have to watch your portions if you're looking to maintain or lose weight. So I often get asked, well, what are the best cooking oils? And I think olive oil is number one, and avocado oil is number two. And
Mm.
between those two, I think it could satisfy pretty much the best home cook's needs.
Omega 3s, huge. This is my favorite
Yeah.
slide.
Many of us have heard of omega-3s, so these are healthy fats, the healthiest of all fats. But they're also the hardest ones to get enough of. And so the best sources of omega-3 fats are small fatty fish. Examples like herring, sardines, anchovies. Salmon is probably one of the most common dietary sources of omega-3 fats. There's also vegetarian omega-3 fats like in flax or chia. Many types of seeds have omega-3s. And then wild, anytime you can eat wild food, that's going to have omega-3s too. And so omega-3 fats help keep arteries relaxed rather than stiff. This is kind of the opposite of saturated fat.
And cholesterol. I almost feel like we should have started with the cholesterol slide, but I didn't want to start with it because this is um, different than just cholesterol in your body. So that's why I did place it, but people are probably looking at it going, we've been talking about cholesterol all along. Why is it here versus in the beginning? Haven't we been addressing this? But explain why it's here and why not, how it's different.
Yeah. So there's cholesterol in foods and there's cholesterol in our body. So maybe this will help sort out the difference. So
Yeah.
cholesterol is definitely found in certain foods. It's mainly the foods that have saturated fat in them. But your liver also makes cholesterol. And so many people know that there's cholesterol in burgers and hot dogs and fatty meats. It's also in egg yolks, cheese, butter, cream. And so fat from meat and dairy is where you find dietary cholesterol, but also our own fat makes um, cholesterol. And so the liver, body fat fuels the liver to push cholesterol into the bloodstream. And so cholesterol um, is an issue,
Mhm.
and we need to sort of understand the difference between cholesterol in food and cholesterol made in the liver. There's a way to, so what causes the artery damage is mainly, I think, the cholesterol um, produced by your own liver if you have abdominal obesity. But some people, some of us do absorb excess amount of cholesterol from foods, and those are the people who get the most benefit from being strict about their dietary cholesterol.
And
So preservatives
preservatives.
and chemicals. So these are added to processed foods to extend shelf life and improve the taste and appearance. But on the other hand, um, are we paying the price in the long term? Could these preservatives and chemicals accumulate gradually over time and cause hidden health risks? It's hard to know for sure. And then a very common example that many people worry about is artificial sweeteners. And they're a mixed blessing. I think they're better than table sugar or many of the different sources of sugar that we consume. And there's no proof that artificial sweeteners are harmful, but there are some hints in the medical research, and uncertainty remains. And so, is Diet Coke better than regular Coke? Probably. Is water better than Diet Coke? Almost certainly. And so, that's the way I think about it. And um, many of us are living in the middle ground. It's not all or none. All of us eat some unhealthy foods from time to time because they're fun and delicious. And it's all about life is all about finding the right balance. And so this whole issue with preservatives and chemicals points to another reminder that we should just stay focused on whole foods for many different reasons, including because they're less likely to have these unknown preservatives and chemicals.
And I think that that's one reason that you've talked about dairy quite a few times. You don't overly promote it and say that people need to be consuming it all the time, but you have made the point that it is more natural if you get the more natural milk without all the some of them have added sugar, some of them have thickeners and things like that. But almost guaranteed the plant-based milks, the almond milk, the walnut milk, and after we had talked the one time about it, I went and checked how many of them have so many other things I can't even pronounce that are thickeners and sometimes artificial sweeteners. And so I can't have dairy, so I started making my own walnut milk. And so that's what I use in a lot of my making my own um smoothies and whatever else I do. So really worth double checking. And again, eating more natural, eating the perimeter of the supermarket. Okay, let's just wrap
Absolutely.
things up.
So, in summary, what we covered are that foods are complex mixtures of compounds that affect your body in different ways, for better or for worse, and that understanding each nutrient's effects helps you evaluate any food or eating strategy. The
Mhm.
overall effect on your arteries depends mostly on your overall eating style, not on any one single food. And there's no one best eating strategy for everybody, and finding the right strategy for your specific health issues is one of the most important, valuable things that you can do to stay healthy, keep your arteries healthy, and live your best life.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Dansinger, for all your time. If you want to follow along, you can pick up our book. It's called Food for Thought. Easiest to go onto Amazon and you can look up peripheral artery disease and scroll down and you'll find Food for Thought, our book. But we could also send you a digital copy free. The print is basically at cost, but the digital copy is free. There's no cost. And you can email us at info@padhelp.org to get your free copy of Food for Thought and follow along. We're only in episode 2, How Does Food Damage and Heal Your Arteries? We still have quite a few chapters to go. And with every single chapter, if you are actually watching this as part of the entire series, the PAD diet orientation, and you are going to follow along and do our quiz post episode, and or you haven't even signed up yet, make sure you email us at info@padhelp.org, and make sure you do let us know you want to join the orientation, the full series. You don't have to watch it live every week. We're live every Monday, of course, on our YouTube channels. Like and subscribe. But you'll be able to get a certificate at the end signed by Dr. Michael Dansinger and myself. So you'll want to complete the entire orientation and you can show the certificate to your doctor and say, hey, I'm doing my part as a partner in my care for PAD, and I'm sure they're going to absolutely love it. So you'll have more knowledge. Knowledge is power, and they're going to love that you're a great partner in your care. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. And again, thank you, Dr. Danziger, and we'll see everyone next week.